Hi Sarah, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining me again this week.
Nice to see you.
So could you just start off by telling me a bit about what's been going on in the last week in terms of how you've been feeling, who you've been spending time with, just broad things?
Yeah, so I guess I've been spending most of my time with Chris. I've seen my parents and stuff, obviously, because like we live together, but that's pretty much it. Like we don't spend a lot of time together. Yeah, it's mostly just Chris and uni at the moment. Yeah.
Just Chris, and how's uni going?
It's okay. Like it's pretty stressful with all the assignments and stuff. I feel like they just kind of pile up, and it takes me like a really long time to actually get my head around each assignment. Yeah, so it's pretty stressful. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not coping that well maybe with the stress of uni at the moment?
Yeah,
Would you say that's right?
I'm not really doing anything to try and cope with it. I'm just kind of, it's just kind of happening. I'm not really coping. Yeah.
Do you have any classmates at school that can help you with anything academic, or friends outside who maybe are going to uni as well and experiencing the same sort of thing?
Well, I don't really know anyone at uni. Some of my high school friends, yeah, they'd probably be in the same boat as me, but I don't really see them that much anymore. I'm just too tired. I just don't really have a lot of energy at the moment to go out and make plans and see them and stuff. So.
Right, okay, so you mentioned that you're tired. Have you been maybe not getting enough sleep?
Yeah, recently my sleep's been like I haven't been able to get to sleep at night, so I've been staying in bed later and just like trying to fall asleep, but it doesn't really work. So yeah, my sleep's been kind of weird recently.
Okay, and so that's a recent thing. Can you think of anything that may have triggered that or brought that on? Can you put it down to anything, or is it sort of a stress thing?
It could be a stress thing, yeah. It just kind of, it just started happening. I can't really remember exactly when it started. It was maybe a couple months ago, something like that. Something like that.
Right, okay. And so you mentioned that just in the past week you've been spending most of your time with Chris.
Yeah.
Has anything sort of changed with him in the past week?
Nothing's really changed because he still doesn't know like what happened, so I'm still kind of pretending that everything's the same. He doesn't really know anything. He can kind of scare me sometimes. He can be a bit angry a couple times, but
Okay.
But yeah, it's been pretty much the same as
Okay.
usual.
So you haven't told him what happened a couple of weeks ago?
No.
Is there any reason for that?
I guess I'm just ashamed. I don't want him to know.
Okay, you're sort of anxious about how he might react?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he sort of have a bit of a history, or do you two have a bit of a history of getting into arguments?
We don't. We've argued that one time, but before that, I'd say there weren't a lot of arguments. It was more like he could say some hurtful things, and I'd just kind of cop it and just not say anything because I didn't want an argument. So, yeah.
Okay. And so also you mentioned that you've been spending like a bit of time with your family and a bit of time with Anna just in the past week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you used to spend more time with them, or have you always just been more time with Chris in the past few months?
Yeah, my parents, it's been kind of the same. But I used to spend a lot more time with Anna. Like we'd go see movies quite often, but she is now very busy, so that can't happen as much. And I think I've been spending a bit more time with Chris instead.
And what about your parents have sort of largely been busy, and you mentioned that Anna recently has been really busy.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been someone other than Chris, like your friends or anyone in particular, that you've been able to talk to about any issues or anything going on?
No, I haven't really spoken to anyone about it, actually, no.
Okay. And so, just broadly speaking, you're sort of having some trouble with the stress of uni.
Mm-hmm.
You and Chris had an argument last week. You haven't really been seeing your friends very much. Is there anywhere in particular you want to go from here, say long term, or maybe by the end of our time together, any issues that you want to solve or any problems you may want to alleviate?
Yeah, well, the main thing that like comes to mind is uni. I just like to not be as stressed, because I think, as I mentioned last time, I feel like it's really overwhelming and I don't really know what to do about that, so I think that working on that would be good. And my mum's been on about me about managing my diabetes better recently, so maybe that could be another thing to work on.
How do you think you could solve your issues with uni at the moment?
In high school, I got some help from a psychologist, and she did some like coping strategies with me and stress management, which helped a lot. So maybe things like that again, like those kind of exercises. Yeah.
So you would want to develop some maybe coping strategies or stress management skills in our time together?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that help exactly last time?
It just made me able to, because I wasn't as stressed, I could cope better, so I could think more clearly. I could. She helped me like plan when to do what kind of assessments and stuff, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and you mentioned that your mother has sort of been in your ear a bit about your diabetes management. Is that something that maybe you've been poorly managing recently, or has that been an ongoing thing?
Well, ever since I got the diagnosis, I always hated it. I hated having to do the injections. It made me feel weird. It made me feel different. So I've never really managed it that well. But recently with like Chris and some friends and sometimes, I've been drinking a bit more than usual, which my doctor says is kind of making it worse, and my mum's really also honoured me about that, so yeah.
Okay, and so do you think that maybe there's anything else or anyone else you can engage with at the moment? Any friends, or maybe Anna or your mother or your father, instead of say going and drinking with Chris and his friends?
Yeah, like Anna, I could go see movies and stuff with Anna. I'd like that, but I think she's a bit too busy for that now. So.
Okay, and so those social relationships, how do you think maybe you can go about reconnecting with your mother and Anna in the future?
Maybe if there was like planned, like we used to have a planned family dinner every week, which doesn't seem to happen anymore, but maybe if that were to happen again, then we could, reconnect a bit.
Yeah, okay. And so just before you mentioned that you saw a psychologist when you were in high school, what were sort of the issues that were leading up to you engaging with them?
Mostly just stress. Again, school stress has always been kind of a big thing for me, so yeah.
And so those strategies that your previous psychologist helped you implement in the past, do you think that they are applicable to what you're going through now? Do you think that they could help you at this point?
Yeah, it's a bit different now because it's not so much about pressure to try and get in somewhere. It's just about there's too much to do, and I'm struggling to manage everything and cope with, how much there is.
So is the trouble at uni more you're struggling with the academic difficulty of things, or you're just struggling with how much is going on externally and the pressure of uni?
Yeah, it's more like how much there is to do.
Okay.